What's going on, Alabama fans? Chris Daughtry back with you guys here again on the Alabama Football Report. Just like every week, whether it's a win, whether it's a loss, we have got overreactions for you guys here on Sunday to Alabama's 56-0 win against Eastern Illinois. Before we get into some of those overreactions, though, it is officially Auburn Hate Week. It is time for the 2025 Iron Bowl. So if you guys want Alabama to beat Auburn yet again this season, make sure you get down there and like today's video. If you're watching a video here on the Alabama Football Report, it means you're probably an Alabama fan and you should probably hate the Auburn Tigers. So get down there and drop a like on today's show. All right, let's get into the overreactions here. And by the way, these are not necessarily mine. These are some that I have seen from the, live show and out there on social media. Number one, it's time to bench Ty Simpson. Personally, I think this is an absolute asinine, wild take out there. I get it. He threw another couple of interceptions yesterday. One, I'm going to continue to say doesn't really count. Right there before halftime, just chunking it up, basically a Hail Mary with 1 second left. Doesn't really matter. The other one was not very good. Trying to throw it over the middle. The linebacker made a pretty good play on the ball. Just wasn't able to get it over the linebacker there. Ryan Williams was open. Just didn't throw it high enough. Definitely has had some issues here the past couple of weeks with turnovers. But this is a guy that just a couple of weeks ago was a Heisman candidate. And yeah, sure, he's probably now fallen out of that Heisman, running right now. But to bench Ty Simpson, the guy that is your clear-cut leader as your starting quarterback right now, I think it's just absolutely crazy for anybody to, go out there and say that you need to bench Ty Simpson right now. Sure, past couple of weeks haven't been totally clean, but, he was still 11 for 16 yesterday. He was running the offense. They still scored on the majority of the drives that he was in there outside of that, interception that he threw in the first quarter. So has it been the, most perfect thing in the world? No, it definitely hasn't. And I think Ty knows that. And I think, you can, criticize him a little bit on that. But to say you want to bench him, I think that's crazy. But this is a democracy here at the Alabama Football Report. So let me know down in the comments section, if you were the head coach, if you were Keelon DeBoer, would you bench Ty Simpson? Let me know what you guys think down at the pinned comment of today's video. Type Y for yes or N for no. All right, overreaction number 2. Daniel Hill needs more carries. I don't think this is an overreaction. I personally think he's running back 1 for this Alabama team right now, especially with the struggles from Jam Miller. Look, I know Jam Miller yesterday had 11 carries for 62 yards, in a touchdown. I know that he led Alabama in, rushing yards yesterday, but still, every single time Daniel Hill ends up touching the football, he pretty much gets 5 yards. He just, rolls forward for, an extra 4, 5, 6 yards every single time he touches the football. He only had 2 carries yesterday versus Eastern Illinois, and maybe that was to, keep him a little bit more fresh, but, he's done some really good things. He's got 4 touchdowns rushing the football this year. He's got a couple more, catching the football as well. I personally think Daniel Hill is the lead running back for this Alabama team right now, even though, Jam Miller did lead Alabama yesterday in rushing yards. So let me know, again, down inside the comment section. Be honest with me down there. Who's running back 1? Who do you think should get more carries right now? Type 4 for Daniel Hill or 26 for Jam Miller. All right, overreaction number 3. Kane Wommack has this Alabama defense rolling right now. This is not an overreaction. This defense, the past couple of weeks, has played really, really well. Even in that loss versus Oklahoma, that really wasn't on the defense. That was really the turnovers that the, Alabama offense, the special teams, the missed field goal and everything like that. I think all of that is really what factored into that loss versus Oklahoma. Yesterday, I get it. It's against Eastern Illinois. You're supposed to play really, really, really well. But 34 total yards given up, that's absolutely crazy. I'm trying to look up real quick here. Cole Kubelik had a pretty interesting tweet on Alabama's, Alabama giving up only 34 yards. It was the 4th fewest yards allowed in a game in program history. The fewest total yards allowed in a game since October 13th, 1962. This Alabama defense is going crazy, and you saw a ton of guys make plays yesterday. Dejon Lee had his second interception of the season, 5-star, true freshman going out there and continues to make plays. Tim Keenan also forced another fumble yesterday as well. You didn't end up recovering it, but still, they recovered it at the 1, and you got really good field position off of, forcing a punt there. You ended up with 9 tackles for loss. You had 3 sacks in this game yesterday, and you saw a lot of guys really shine. I thought, some of those backups as well. We'll talk about those guys here in just a little bit, played really, really well. You even saw Quade Russaw get back on the field. That was his first time getting back on the field since getting injured in that Georgia game. Bray Hubbard continues to be an absolute maniac out there on the field, whether that's them, sending him on blitzes or just generally coming down, making plays in the run game. This Alabama defense is playing really, really good right now, and it's something that you need to continue to be a trend here as you close out the regular season. If you beat Auburn, pretty much, some crazy things could happen. Maybe, you don't end up making the SEC championship game, but at this point, I think those scenarios are played out. If you lose to Auburn, you miss out on the SEC championship game, and you would then miss out on the college football playoffs anyways there. So, if you just continue to have this defense rolling like it is right now, cross our fingers. If you play a team like Texas A&M in the SEC championship, that game might be a little bit closer than I think a lot of people are really kind of thinking about right now with the loss to Oklahoma last week. I still think this Alabama team is going to be able to bounce back, and we'll see what ends up happening. Still got to end up beating Auburn next week to make sure that happens. All right, we'll come back here in just a second, but first, today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. The weather might be changing right now, getting a little bit chillier, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. One of my favorite things about Prize Picks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose the flex play where you get paid even if one of your picks misses. But if you want the biggest payouts like we do here at the Alabama Football Report, go for the power play, because no matter how you play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. This is what we got cooked up for today's slate of games, going with Drake May more than passing yards, Caleb Williams more than rushing yards, and Rashee Rice more than a half touchdown for him. Could be rushing or could be receiving. That's another thing that I really love about Prize Picks. It's not one or the other. Sometimes they have those Prize Picks lineups where, those player stat projections where, it's a plus, rushing or receiving. Maybe it's catches or receptions and receiving yards, anything like that. Prize Picks has a lot of those, so make sure if you see those, get those in to your Prize Picks lineups today. So download the Prize Picks app and use promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That link is down in the comments section. It's also going to be down in the description of today's show. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, just a second ago, we talked about some of those younger guys on defense. Overreaction number 4, the future is bright for this Alabama team. Kalen DeBoer and this Alabama coaching staff have been recruiting at a very, very high level over the past couple of years, and they even have some other guys that have stepped up for them as second-team guys that even Nick Saban recruited as well. There are so many young guys that shined in this game yesterday. The first one I want to point out, you saw QB Reese out there, and you also saw Caden Jones out there. Those guys are most likely going to be your first linebackers, going into next season, because all of your linebackers right now, they're out of eligibility, so they're going to all go to the NFL draft. You also saw guys like Ivan Taylor out there. Fontenot Henry, had 3 tackles yesterday. He had a half tackle for loss. Let's see here. Red Morgan continues to shine as well. There were just a lot of guys. Zay Mincy, Noah Carter, Justin Hill had just an insane play yesterday where he was coming off the edge. He just blew up the tight end and blew him right into the backfield and ended up just knocking him in to the running back for a tackle for loss there. Keon Keeley had another pretty good game as well. Chuck McDonald, he didn't necessarily, come out there and shine or anything like that, but, he did have another tackle, in the game. Deshaun Lee, another true freshman out there shining for this Alabama team right now, and that's just on the defensive side of the ball. You could talk about the offensive guys too. Jalen Ibakwe, again, yesterday, not again, but, had 2 receptions for 39 yards. A.K. Deer did some really good things again yesterday as well. Austin Mack, Keelon Russell. The list goes on and on and on. These young guys in the future, they're going to play a lot of snaps for this Alabama team. And, man, right now, Latsier Brooks, again, he didn't necessarily have a great game yesterday, but still, overall, these guys are continuing to play at a very high level when they get that opportunity. And still, that second, third string defense was in there at halftime. Some of those guys were in there, in the first, second quarter of that ball game yesterday, and you still gave up 0 points. That goes back to Kane Wommack doing a really good job on the defense. The future is bright for this Alabama team. So if you guys missed our Alabama versus Eastern Illinois watch party, what are you doing? Make sure you guys hit that sub button. We are going to be live for the Iron Bowl next week as well. Also, going to be giving away, I actually put it away, our Ryan Williams jersey. Going to be raffling that off next week. So join us for our Alabama versus Auburn watch party. Hit that sub button for me and join us right here at the Alabama Football Report by Chat Sports. All right, overreaction number 5. I have no faith in Conor Talty right now. This is not an overreaction. He ended up missing his, 7th field goal, I believe it was. Maybe it was a 6th. Either way, I think it was a 7th. I think he's 11 for 18 now on field goals. And it was another chip shot. There was a reason the other day why I put him on the transfer portal candidates list, because I think Alabama needs to go out there in the transfer portal and find a kicker that can, make these chip shot field goals for you, because right now you just can't rely on him. Last week we know what happened right before halftime, missing that field goal, really blaming it on the long snapper there. Kalen DeBoer was even asked about the Alabama fans in attendance yesterday booing him. He said, I really wish they would have his back like I know our locker room does. He's just going to keep plugging away. Just want everybody out there to support him. Right now, I'll be completely honest with you guys. Conor Talty's just not cutting it right now for this Alabama team. And when you continue to play these teams, whether it's Auburn next week, that's going to be a tough challenge. Going to Auburn is always a very, very tough challenge in the Iron Bowl, and you might have to rely on him. And, if you're able to go to the SEC championship, and if you're able to go to the college football playoffs, field goal kicking is a need when it comes to, some of those better opponents. You cannot afford to miss field goals when you're down there in the red zone. You have to settle for a field goal. You need to be able to put points on the board. And right now, man, Conor Talty just is not cutting it for this Alabama team. So what is your confidence level in Conor Talty right now? Let me know what you guys think. Scale it for me, 1 to 10, down in the comment section of today's video.